Hey there, welcome back to What the Hell is Warframe. In the last episode, I covered the gist of planetary travel as well as a broad but beginner level understanding of the modding system. If you haven't yet, I highly recommend you go watch it. I also mentioned in the last episode about a third basic status type called slash. If you've progressed even a little through the story of the game, then you've already encountered what I hinted at the last episode. If not, why are you here? Anyways, minor spoiler warning ahead. Skip ahead like 10 seconds or something. The third status type, slash, is effective against the Infested, a strongly flesh-based faction. With all that knowledge passed, it's now time to cover Chapter 3, Resources and Riches. Side note before we start, if you rolled your eyes when I mentioned free-to-play game in Chapter 1, or if the thought pay-to-win crossed your mind, then listen very closely. Everything in this game can be earned for free. Everything, yes. The developers have made a very clear notion to only make actual money purchases with the game if you're looking to support the game and not for any pay-to-win content that doesn't exist. Money only gets you so far, kiddos. Now then, if you've progressed to more than one planet by this point, you've probably noticed a handful of resources and rewards you're gathering that you don't fully know what to do with. You might also be wondering when and how you acquire a new Warframe and weapons. You also might be wondering what the hell a mastery rank test is and how to trigger it. Don't fret, we're going to cover all that in this chapter and more. Let's start slow. Between completing the tutorial quest and beating your first junction, you more than likely had something called a mastery rank test pop up in your pause menu, and perhaps you even took the test. Either way, you're probably wondering why it's significant and how you got it. To make it short and simple, a mastery rank, or MR, is your overall account rank in the game, represented by that little number that appears in your icon when you press pause. That's your MR. Mastery rank is a number that represents how many weapons and warframes you've mastered while playing. Mastery also determines how large of an arsenal you can have, meaning there are plenty of weapons and warframes that are locked behind a certain mastery rank, and you need to reach that MR level in order to use them. Each time you complete an MR test, you reach the next MR level, and have access to more and more weapons and warframes. Reaching an MR test is actually quite simple. All you have to do is rank up currently available weapons and warframes to max rank 30 in order to receive a boost of progress to your current MR level.
I'm already lost!
Use more guns, take test, get more guns, use more guns, take test, easy. If you're curious to see how close you are to reaching your next MR test, simply look at the progress bar under your name when hovering over your icon or click Show Profile to see the exact numbers.
But how do I get a new Warframe?
I'm getting there. Alright, so you're getting bored of little old Excalibur and you want to switch it up a little bit. Totally understandable. But first you need to determine which Warframes you want to go for next. And you have to remember that not all of them are going to be readily available to you right away. After you've determined the ones you want, you have to figure out how to get them. And if I'm being honest, there's not exactly one direct answer I can give you here for this. I'll do my best to explain. Each Warframe is earned in a different way. Your first step should usually be going to the market and clicking on the Warframe to see if you can acquire the blueprint for crafting with your credits. A good amount of Warframe's main blueprints can just be purchased with in-game currency. Be sure to avoid the platinum purchase for now. We'll get to that in a minute. However, if you can't acquire the blueprint from the market, then you may need to complete a quest associated with that Warframe to get their blueprint, or maybe research them in a clan dojo. We'll get to dojos in Chapter 4. Maybe. It's not that important right now. There are too many possible routes you might need to take to get every single Warframe's blueprint, so I'm not going to list them all out right now. But each one is relatively simple as the next. A quick Google search or message in Q&A chat should help you out. Once you've finally acquired one of the blueprints, you'll need to follow a similar method to figure out where the Warframe's blueprint parts are located. Most Warframes have their entire sets dropped from a single boss fight. Rhino, for example, is an early game Warframe. All of his parts drop from a boss fight on Venus called the Jackal. Similarly, a Warframe named Ember has her entire set dropped from a boss fight on Saturn by a dude named General Sargus Kuk. Note that the entire set for these Warframes won't drop all at the same time. These boss fights are guaranteed to drop a part upon completion, but it's randomized which part you'll get. You may end up with 4 duplicates of Rhino's neuroptics before you finally get his systems. This is where the farming part of Warframe comes into play, and honestly, this is about as bad as it gets. Just doing one mission over and over again to get the parts you need for a new character. Keep in mind though, I did say that not all Warframes are earned in the same way. There are more creative ways to get what you want in the game. Early game factions such as the Ostrongs, Voxelaris, or the Entrati family all house rewards and parts for you to acquire within their worlds. A few Warframes have their parts drop randomly from killing enemies at specific nodes in the solar system. No matter how you acquire the Warframe parts, the assembly process is the same for all of them. Head to your foundry in the orbiter and find the parts blueprints to make sure you have enough resources to build them. If you're missing a few resources, simply go to your navigation console and view what resources each planet has to see where you need to go to get more. Once you got everything you need, it's time to start crafting. First, you'll need to craft each part before you start crafting the entire Warframe itself, and then we wait. Each and every Warframe part will take 12 hours to craft. Luckily, you can build multiple items in the foundry at once. This timer counts for time off the game as well, so it might be a good idea to start this process just before you go to bed because you'll most likely wake up in time for them all to finish building. After you've assembled each piece, it's time to start crafting the actual Warframe itself. And then we wait. The foundry will need an additional 48 hours either on or off the game to assemble the Warframe itself. This is the part that almost all new players struggle with and could feel pressured to spend real-life money on the game to rush the assembly process, but I assure you, it's not worth it. If you've already put the effort into acquiring each part and resource, you might as well give it the time it needs to do the rest for you. No point in spending money on something that's going to just happen for free regardless anyway. Admittedly, I do believe this part of the game is unnecessary, as it may already take a player quite a lot of time to acquire each part, and charging them an additional 48 hours of time feels like an overkill, but whatever, you do you. From one player to another though, something about putting in the time and patience into a Warframe feels so much more rewarding than just flat out purchasing them. I often find myself struggling to come back and play Warframes that I purchased with Platinum, whereas Warframes that I built on my own feel so much more fun and rewarding to play, because I earned it. I made it.
Fuck you, kid. You can't tell me how to live my life.
Okay. Anyway, to finish off this segment of the video, I'll point out something that you might have gotten a glance at if you played with an experienced friend or in random public squads. I hope you've avoided public squads because almost all of them have no respect for spoilers when it comes to newer players. You may have noticed people running Warframes in their loadout that have the name Prime at the end. Ash Prime, Volt Prime, Rhino Prime, etc. Perhaps even weapons that have the Prime name in them. You might have even asked at some point what Prime means. Is it max rank? To put it simply, Prime means cool, better, a status of wealth, a title to separate the lower class filth from the... A Prime Warframe is just an upgrade from the regular version of a Warframe. Upgrade being a loose term because each upgrade varies depending on the frame and usually isn't that crazy of a boost. Some primes have more energy than their standard counterpart, some have more health, armor, sprint speed, or a mix of such and more. The same goes for prime weapons. They usually just do a bit more damage. So that's neat. But how does one acquire such premium status gear to boast around? The answer? Loot drop. Relics. After completing the Mars junction, you'll have unlocked something called a Void Relic segment for your ship. Once you install the segment, the station will be located here, in the corner for abandoned children. After accessing the station, you might notice you probably have some relics already. That's because they can drop from almost every type of mission, mostly defense missions though. Specific types of relics such as Meso V7 or Lith S12 drop from certain missions. You can press a button to see which missions you've discovered that drop the relic so far. Or you can make things easier and Google the drop rates for this specific relic. Why are you trying to get specific relics instead of just any? Well, each relic has a list of 6 different rewards you can get from them. And in case you didn't notice, there's a lot more than 6 warframes. Each relic has 3 tiers of loot in them: bronze, silver, and gold. Bronze tier holds 3 different rewards, silver holds 2, and gold has 1. Obviously, gold is going to be the hardest piece to unlock out of a relic. How do you extract the parts? When you're in your navigation console, you can access this little tab here at the top right that opens up a list of missions called Void Fissures. These are special variations of missions where you'll have a primary objective of that mission, whether it be extermination, capture, defense, or other, and a secondary objective of killing these golden dudes who keep spawning in your way to pick up this resource they drop called, oh my god, Lotus, shut up! Once you have 10 reactant, your relic will be cracked open, and once you reach extraction, you'll be able to see what you earned from it. Or if you're playing with a squad, you can grab a pick of whatever they unlocked if you didn't like yours. Every prime item has their parts scattered upon multiple different relics and always has at least 1 golden tier piece to them. So get used to getting the first 3 pieces easy peasy and performing a demonic ritual just to get the last piece. Every single prime item in the game is earned by cracking open these bad boys and getting the right part out of them to construct. But not every grind for a prime warframe is as easy and or difficult to earn as the other. This is where the awkward side of Warframe comes into play, because while sometimes getting the prime variant of a Warframe is more difficult than getting the standard version, other times the prime variant is 10 times easier to acquire than the standard. Such as the case with Equinox. God, I hate Equinox! You accidentally got a prime set for a weapon or Warframe you didn't even want? Head on over to Maru's Bazaar on Mars, sell that baby to another player for some platinum. If that don't work, scream it in trading chat. Welcome to the Warframe stock market. Now spend that platinum on something else you want. Or don't. Oh hey look, it's the part of the video where I start listing a bunch of other facts that are necessary for this chapter, but I couldn't figure out how to connect them to the rest of the script. Most prime frames might require a resource called an argon crystal to build them. This is a resource only found in the void. I recommend this sector right here. Be sure to get the crystal at the end of your farming process, because if you don't use them within a day, they expire and delete from your inventory. Hooray! Other warframes will require something called an Orokin cell to craft, which can be found from loot drops in Ceres, Saturn, and Deimos. While cracking open relics, you might have gotten a lot of this weird Forma thing. Don't worry, it's not entirely useless. Forma can be used in your weapons or warframes modding menu to change and add symbols onto a mod slot. Neat for capacity, but just be aware that this resets the item you formatted back to rank 0. You do not, however, lose your mastery rank for that item after it's formatted, so that's good. Void traces are rewarded after every successful relic cracking. Get enough of these Hershey squirts and you can raise your chances for a rare drop in the relic from a 0.4% chance to a 0.5% chance. At some point while playing, you might have seen the mouth of a woman named Nora. Nora is in charge of something called the Nightwave, Warframe's very own battle pass, a Chad-free battle pass. No, really, there's no way to pay for this battle pass. There's no premium version, and you can't pay for higher tiers or anything. Everything here is earned for free by force. You can progress through this battle pass by completing challenges that Nora puts out both daily and weekly. Throughout the tiers, she'll reward you with something called Nightwave credits, which can be spent in her exclusive Nightwave shop to redeem rewards that cycle through every week. After you unlock Mastery Rank 3, you'll gain the option to access syndicates. Syndicates are basically a game of choose your favorite cult, where you can pledge allegiance to any one of them at any time for free with no consequences to changing that pledge aside from pissing off the opposite cult. They also have an allied cult that you can gain standing with as well on the side. You gain standing and rank with them by just doing any type of mission while still pledged with them. And as you progress, you'll gain access to exclusive rewards only available through them and them only. Trading in Warframe is an extremely fun and useful system in the game, but that doesn't mean it's perfect. You cannot trade resources or standard variant Warframe or weapon parts with other players. All trades taking place in Maru's Bazaar will have a trade tax placed upon them based on how many items are being traded, the tax being in-game credits. You also cannot receive a Warframe or weapon from other players if you are not high enough MR rank yet. Aura mods for Warframes and stance mods for melee will increase your overall mod capacity when equipped rather than drain it, even if the symbol slot doesn't match. Orokin Catalysts or Orokin Reactors are items you can either craft or redeem through the Nightwave shop and boost your Warframes or weapons mod capacity to double. Purchasing a Warframe or weapon flat out of the market with Platinum will ensure they come already installed with double mod capacity. Ayatan stars can be found in every mission and are hidden within random containers throughout the level. They have two tiers, the common Cyan star and the rare Amber star. You'll need both when combining them with an even rarer Ayatan sculpture. Sculptures can be found rarely laying around the map or acquired through a weekly mission from Maru on Maru's Bazaar. Once you have a sculpture, you can fill it with Ayatan stars to increase the amount of Endo you can sell it to Maru for. Lastly, the Sortie tab is a challenge 3 missions in length that has a unique modifier in each mission that makes the enemies stronger in some way or hinders you in some way. Upon completing the 3rd and final mission, you will be granted one of these rewards here at random. You can't get another reward until the sortie resets the next day. And that's about it for this episode, I think. Yeah, a lot to internalize and still more that I couldn't fit in here because of spoilers or other reasons, but I think that should set enough players up for now. I know it's been a while since the last chapter and I apologize for the delay. College classes have started again and I'm struggling to find motivation. But I will finish this series, I promise. I'm betting there's going to be 2 more chapters and that might be good to leave off. For now though, this chapter should leave you off pretty good to continue and explore on your own. If you made it this far and you've waited for this chapter, I'd like to personally say thank you. Your support is appreciated. I hope to see you out there kicking ass. Have a good night, everyone.